The Building Bridges project has helped us bring three groups of our youth together. These groups are East African, African American, and Afro-Latina youth. Our main objective was to showcase how we're all inextricably connected and lessen the divide between us. We talk about issues such as stereotypes, culture, and violence. Even though we have differences, our similarities bring us closer. Our main goal is to bring about a solidarity that lasts, thus helping us solve our society's problems together.
Where they're broken up into groups of their own, so it's like African American, Ethiopian, Eritrean, or whatever, and then they could just ask them questions like, oh, what do you know about this culture? Like, what do you think about them? Blah blah blah, and then we'll get that all out, and then we'll just present it to everyone.
For African American, we had strong singing, dancing, and sports.
For Afro-Latino, we had strong, united, bilingual, hardworking, and sports.
For East African, we had good food,
Strong,
well-knit,
beautiful,
multilingual,
hardworking,
and sports.
It said list 3 to 5 things that you can do to increase/strengthen, unite, and build bridges between the three communities. It says stand up for our rights, respect each other's cultures, be open-minded, don't judge, treat others how you want to be treated, step outside the box, join more clubs, and involvement.
We don't have an understanding of each other. I mean, in reality, when we talk about gang violence, the youth violence, etc., we don't have an understanding of ourselves. We don't know who we are. And at this age that we're at now, I don't think we're going to get it to a point where we'll understand it until we start to mature and to find out what it is that we've been giving as far as our gifts and our talents that we can then share with others. So what I want to do is I'm going to ask one person that's actually in the process of Ramadan to come up and help us understand. For those that don't know, because there's a lot of people that don't know why they do it. That can then help us educate. That's where we get into the similarities. And then we can begin to empathize why they do the things they do.
Well, we fast so we can know how people, all around the world that don't have food, how it feels to not eat the whole day and just how it feels to starve. Well, we're not basically starving ourselves, we're just knowing how it feels. When it's time, we really get our grub on now.
Culture. I say every individual has their own type of culture and their own type of belief. But you can have a society of the same type of people, as some people say in politics, like black society, white society, poor, middle class. But yeah, I just say culture is an individual belief.
To me, culture is anything dealing with traditions passed down from generation to generation, and it's things like music, art, clothing, food.
Culture is where you come from, what you believe, what makes your culture and your people unique, your music, your traditions, your food, your clothing, whatever, just everything that has to do with your people.
So I think culture means, your ancestors, your backgrounds, where your family came from, or how you guys all came to get to one place. Culture is food, music, clothing style, art, traditions you celebrate, every year when the time comes. To me, culture is something that, everybody has. Everybody has a different culture. Everybody can represent something else, something new. And to me, culture is just creativity and, where you're coming from and representing your roots.
Culture is like your roots, and it connects you to the people that came before you, and since being African American, it connects me to my African roots.
Culture to me is your way of life, your tradition, and to the things you eat and to the things you wear, and just a natural thing that you're born into.
What challenges do you face as a person of East African descent?
Being a person of East African descent, I face challenges like people who don't think that I'm smart enough, good enough, or know what I'm doing. People just judge me basically because I'm African and think that I don't know half of the things that I should.
Culture means people's heritage and background and what makes people different.
What are the tensions or conflicts that you have experienced between East African, African American, or Afro-Latina communities?
Being a part of the East African community, my parents sometimes don't want me to hang out with people that are African American just because of the way that they're viewed in the media.
Why do you think these tensions exist between these communities?
I think that these tensions exist between the communities because the media portrays African Americans in a light that isn't always true.
What would you do to build bridges between these communities?
I would have our cultures look at each other with the similarities that we have instead of the differences.
How is stereotyping used to demonize us and the cultures we come from?
I don't think they have enough understanding of the others. Like, I don't think you could be able to respect the other culture or whatever it is that you're not getting along with if you don't, like, you don't study it or you don't know what's going on. Because if not, then yeah, I don't think you would have the
right understanding.
Yeah, the right understanding of where they're coming from if you don't take the time to learn what they're going through or whatever culture they are, whatever how they do things might be different than you, but you could have the understanding that you know that they do it this way, you do it that way, but you still get along and respect each other.
The discussions that mom, dad, grandma, grandpa are having about this, it's about our neighborhood and communities and how they relate to one another. One thing I'll say is culture shapes us. Am I right? Can you all agree? But we also have the opportunity to shape culture. And I say that, and I'll bring to this as we talk about violence, but we can talk about gangs.
Generations start to look at how violence has affected a certain generation. We have to think about the differences in the way people conduct themselves. Like I thought about if you were to have Muhammad Ali and Lil Wayne talking about their conflicts and their situations that involve violence, you got to take into the fact that you're talking about two different individuals that came up in two totally different time periods.
Like, you could get mad because whoever shot your homeboy, but then somebody else has to die and somebody else has to die. I mean, somebody has to be mature enough to break the cycle and get over the pride. And
what is our role in our community? What is our role in our family? What is our role in our schools, right? And what role can I as an individual play to be able to talk about culture and be a leader instead of running away from it?
But we have to be able to understand who we are as an individual first before we can tend to address others in their times.
There's commotion, between these ethnicities. And this program was made to clear up all the hate and all the fights and commotion between all those communities, like the East African, Afro-Latino, and African American communities.
Pretty much, I think it's a fear of difference. People shouldn't really discriminate because I got this. Look at my hand and look at yours. You're Puerto Rican. I'm black. You're a teen mom and I'm black. You're Sammy Sosa and I'm black. But I mean, he's African. He's the same as me. Discrimination is just fear of differences. Now, when you decide to put discrimination, prejudice, stereotype, and racism, they're pretty much all different branch-offs of the same thing.
It falls into the same pot.
All the same thing. Pretty much the same thing. All of it is just difference. That you can just label it. Just change stereotype, change all those words into different. Because because you're scared of something that you don't know, right?
I know the stereotypes exist. My friends, they joke with me about fried chicken, watermelon, and orange soda. And even though, even though they said these are just jokes, it pays tribute to the existence of such type of thought, association of behaviors, attitudes, and interests by skin color and skin color alone.
Oh, okay. I think it's also like what school you go to and what neighborhood you're in, because I go to Rainier Beach and people are like, "Oh, you go to Rainier Beach? What? That's like a bad school, right?" But really, it's really not. They judge it by what's happened in the past, but it's actually a good school. And like you think of other schools, like they say like Ballard, oh that's a good school, and I hear like a whole bunch of white people go there, and Rainier Beach is like so. Like a whole bunch of shootings go down there. Yeah, we had like a drug dealer. Okay, but other than that, it's like we're a diverse school, and like all the parents are scared to take their children there because of all the things that happened in the past, and it's really not like that. Like Rainier Beach is like an actual good school, but it's like technically kind of discrimination because they're like, oh, a whole bunch of black kids go there, but what they don't know is that there's also like East Africans and Latinos, and everybody goes there. It's just, I don't get why they would just do that just because of what Rainier Beach looks like.